Hi there, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I'm back again with yet another Double Masters 2022 legendary creature I've given the commander treatment to. Gone a little bit more down the let's all have a Fiend deck and a tribal deck for this one. It's a card that I've been I've been trying to pick up for a while now, but I've never picked it up until today on MTGO. I still don't own one in real life. So, if you've got a spare kicking around at home you want to donate to me, shoot me a message. I'll send you my address, you can post it to me, it'd be great. Anyway, I'll stop begging for stuff now. This is something a little bit different again, a bit like the Gave deck from the other day. I quite got into doing the Gave deck and I thought, I wonder if there's anything else from Double Masters 2022 where I can do something that's tribal based. So there was, and I'm quite happy that I found it. And so, without further ado, Matthias Feinsinker. Red, white and black for a 3/3 legendary creature vampire with menace. And at the beginning of your end step, put a bounty counter on target creature an opponent controls. For as long as that creature has a bounty counter on it, it has, when this creature dies, each opponent draws a card and gains 2 life. So it's kind of repeatable removal from that point of view. So I was quite excited by that. But I was also excited by the fact I could do something with Vampire Tribal, which is what I'm going to go through and show you right now. So, we'll start with the lands, like we always do. We've got Arid Mesa, we've got Alpine Meadow, we can go and find Bloodfell Caves. The usual selection of red, white and black lands that you expect to say. Mayan Towers here, Concealed Courtyard, Dragon Skull Summit. Yes, went with the Fabled Passage and the Field of Ruin in this deck. I know I didn't in the other deck, but I figured we might need it, Vampires have got you on something, the bodies they might leave behind might turn into zombies, so it kind of made sense from that point of view. Field of Ruins here. Foreboding Rones, Fury, Calm Snarl, etc, etc, etc. There's nothing really major. I have got Nomad Outpost in here because why not? It's the 3 colours we're looking for. Path of Ancestry is here for obvious reasons. It's a 3 colour deck, so this kind of helps. I've also included a Rogue's Passage just so we can make some things unblockable, which I thought was a cunning plan. Temple of Silence, Temple of the False God, Temple of Triumph, they're in. And a few other bits. I've also included Voldaren Estate. I don't mind paying 1 life occasionally to cast a vampire spell. And it gives anything. And once we've got 5 vampires in play, the blood tokens might actually be very helpful towards us. So, that's the land. As for the ramp, obviously we're in white, black and red. So there's no sort of like rampant growth, Kodoma's Reach, etc. So we had to go down a little bit heavier on the artifact route than I normally would do. So, Mox Tantalites here, again. Yes, real life expensive, MTGO cheap. Soul Talisman, same reason. Soul Ring, I'm just going to include Soul Ring in every deck until they stop taking them out commander decks now you can buy, because, it's a necessary evil. Arcane Signet's got the same reason. Though be warned, if you're looking to get Arcane Signet on MTGO at the moment, it's gone up in price hideously over the last couple of days. It's now up to something like 10.5 tickets as I film this, so it's probably cheaper to go and spend $20 and buy one of the sealed commander decks that are available in the store. So you might want to think about that, because you get another 100 cards with it as well. So it's all worthwhile doing. I've also gone with the 3 signets: Boris Signet, Orisov Signet, Rakdos Signet, and the only non-vampire creature in the whole deck is Solemn Simulacrum, so we can go and get them land out of our library. So that's the ramp side of it. Time to look at what we're actually playing. I started with Legion's Landing. It's a bit of a no-brainer. We want to create vampire tokens. We like having vampires around in this deck. This comes into play on turn 1 in theory. It gives us a vampire when we get some more creatures down and get some attacks in. We'll get it to flip and then we can just start pumping out vampires every turn. Path to Exile's in. Gives us a bit of removal. Again, this probably could be Swords to Plowshares. I found Path to Exile first when I was doing it, so that went in. Swords to Plowshare is probably better in Commander from my point of view, but we'll try Path to Exile. The reason I'm saying Swords is better is only gave someone life, which is something you're trying to get rid of anyway, whereas this gives them a resource by getting a basic land. So I might change this before the deck list goes up, but at the moment I'll leave as it is. First Vampire, Sky March Aspirant. You're going to try and get the City's Blessing. You're going to have a 2/1 flyer for 1 mana, which isn't the worst deal in the world. Indulgent aristocrats here, so we can sacrifice some creatures off that may be dying to combat damage, etc., and pump all the other vampires up. You can do it as an instant speed, so it works quite well. It all can so save you from some of the other effects that are going on. Vicerocya is here for the same idea. If something's dying, we've got a few things that make tokens, so if your tokens are dying, you can sack it off and scry, get something better in your next draw. I'm playing Falconwrath Gorger, purely because it gives all the vampires madness, and you do get hit with a bit of discard every so often with this deck, so I figured we'd try it. Plus it's a 2-1 for 1 red mana. You can't really go wrong with it early in the game. The only bit of equipment in the deck is Blade of the Blood Chief. There's literally no point in playing a vampire deck without this. It's 1 to cast, 1 to equip, and if a creature dies, your vampire it's equipped to gets 2+1/+1s on it. It gets big very quickly, so bear that in mind. Going across to the 2-drops, Blood Artist. Whenever it dies, you know the rule. You gain 1, someone loses 1. It's all good. Bloodseeker's in. We do get to a point where we want to discard some cards. We have one way of bringing stuff back from the graveyard, which could be useful, but we might as well have Bloodseeker, Call of the Bloodline in, to do this. Bloodseeker is just there so we can zap people for life as they draw creatures. Child of the Night, a little bit of life gain, 2-1 with lifelink, that's fine. Dusk Legion Zealot turns up everywhere nowadays, but draw a card, lose a life, and if it's really bad and you can't stand the game anymore and you're on 1 life, you can play this and kill yourself. That's fine as well. A bit of targeted removal and Go for the Throat here. Destroy target non-artifact creature. It's an instant. It's fine. Likewise, Gatekeeper of Malachi is here, so we can kick it and people can sacrifice a creature, especially if they've only got 1 thing in play. If they're building some sort of like big combo deck up using Exalted and just attacking 1 creature, you can kill the thing that's causing the problem. Gifted Aetherborn is just a vampire with Death Touch and Lifelink, good early blocker. Oath of Chandra next. We've got a few of the Planeswalkers in here. We haven't got any Chandras in here, but I think we might as well play the Oath as well. Deals 3 damage to a target creature, and then if you get attacked, or when you cast a Planeswalker, it gets to zap people for 2 damage to each opponents. That kind of helps. Clerical Lifeblood. It's a 2/2 vampire. You've probably seen it kicking around a lot in the clerics decks in Standard if you've been playing Standard recently. Again, there's a few other clerics. We might gain a couple of life, but at the end of the day, whenever we gain life, we get to put +1/+1 on it, make it bigger quicker. So that works in my head. Likewise, Blood Tithe Harvester has been running riot recently in Standard, or it was the last time I was playing Standard. It may have changed by now, but you get a few blood tokens. We've got ways of creating them, and therefore we can, if the worst comes to worst, we can sack this off and kill something that's annoying us. Likewise, Terminates here. It's black-red, destroy target creature, it can't be regenerated. Nothing wrong with that at all. We're going into the 3-drops. The first one is Marvin Fee, Dusk Apostle. Whenever one or more non-token vampires you control attack, create a 1/1 vampire creature with lifelink. So there's one way of getting a token. Oath of Gideon here gives us a couple of core allies. Yeah, okay, they're not vampires, but you can just forgive me that one. But again, when we play the Planeswalkers, they come with an additional loyalty counter on them, which is quite relevant for some of the Planeswalkers we've got coming up. Queen's Commission, just sorcery for 3 mana, it gives a couple of 1/1 tokens. I put Glorious Anthem in to pump it all up. The vampires are quite good, but they are a little bit on the small side, especially at the lower end. And I think this is just a nice general way of making everything a little bit bigger. So, even our 2/1 becomes a 3/2, we're flying, 2/2, 2/2, 3/2, etc. So if we put it in. We do have a little bit of life gain in the deck, as I've said, so we might as well have the Marauding Blight Priest in here. So when we gain life, each opponent loses a life. Just pings them basically. It's not going to do anything major, but it'll do that. Arterial Flow is just a random bit of discard to annoy our opponents with. It's probably a late game card. You'll probably have a vampire in play. You'll gain 2 life, they'll all lose 2, and they'll lose a couple of cards as well. So it's not the end of the world. Captivating Vampire is a no-brainer. 2 black and 1 for a 2/2. All the other vampires get +1/+1, and then you can tap 5 untapped vampires you control and gain control of target creature. It becomes a vampire. So we'll have a lot of vampires. We'll have a lot of things we can start nicking with a bit of luck. Notice in the deck, I'm not playing anything like Coat of Arms or effects like that. Purely because I don't want to give my opponent bonuses. There seems to be quite a few tribal decks going around at the moment. and I don't want them to get the bonuses that I'll be getting, so I'm trying to go with sort of like the Lords, for want of a better word, in the decks. Drana, Liberator of Malachi is here as well. There's absolutely no point in not playing this card. You're going to attack with it, and then you're going to get your +1/+1 counters on all your attacking creatures, which helps pump up the vampires, and it links really well with one of the cards that's coming up in a second. Stensisa Banquet, might as well play it, deals some damage, bit of removal to deal with annoying Planeswalker or an opponent, and you get to draw a card off it. It's not the best removal spell in the world, but it works well with all the vampires we're going to be playing. Masquerade is very good. This is one you do want to get in play as soon as you can. It gives all your vampires first strike, which makes them difficult to block. And then if you get to combat damage on a player with a vampire, it gets bigger by a little bit. And it's got the bonus that you can madness it into play if things go really pear-shaped. So bear that in mind. Vampire's Vengeance is just here to deal 2 damage to each non-vampire creature. It can help. I mean, the only thing of ours that it will kill are be the tokens from the Oath of Gideon and the Solemn Simulacrum, which isn't the worst thing in the world to kill off anyway, you get the card draw. But it's just there, it gives another blood token, which helps out with our Blood Tithe Harvester, so bear that in mind. Drana's Emissary is one of the clerics, so that will pump up Clerical Life's Bond, but it has a nice little ability at the beginning of your upkeep. Each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. Yes, you're only pinging them for 1, but it all helps. Mortify, I've put a normal Mortify instead of my promo one that I usually have in these decks. Destroy target creature enchantment for 3 mana. You can't go wrong with it. Likewise, Oath of Kaya is in here as well. Deals 3 damage to any target, gain 3 life, and whenever an opponent attacks a Planeswalker you control, deals 2 damage to that player and you gain 2 life. So, you know, and your Planeswalkers will be attacked, I promise you. Next legendary creature is Olivia, mobilised for war. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may discard a card. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on that creature. It gains haste and becomes a vampire. You'll get to a point where you'll have this out, you'll be casting some of your creatures, you'll have a handful of lands you don't need or other things. You might as well just discard them, make those things a little bit bigger. Global Removals next in the form of Damnation. I tend to put this in any black deck I'm playing. If it's pure black, black-white, black-blue, black whatever. This will come in nowadays just so we can control the board a little bit. Call to Feast, just 3 more vampires. This could be something you can take out. It's a little bit expensive for what it does, but it does help and it gives you those vampires. Right, Elendra's next. This is quite a key one. If you can protect her, all well and good. If you can't, oh well, she'll replace herself with a 1/1 vampire with lifelink. But if you can get a few creatures to die with this out, as soon as she dies, you're going to end up with a nice board full of 1/1 vampires, which could technically be 2/2s if we've got Glorious Anthem out. So bear it in mind. Okay, right. Right, Felicia, Fang, Silver Quill. I am still thinking about how to build a deck around this itself, so that will be coming soon, I hope. But for the time being, I've put it in here. It's a 3/2 mentor, gets to attack. You put a +1/+1 counter on target creature with lesser power, and whenever a non-token creature you control dies, if it had counters on it, create X 2/1 white and black Inkling creature tokens with flying, where X is the number of counters it had. So it's not the end of the world from there either. But we've got lots of ways to put in +1/+1 counters around. We've got all the versions of Sorin I own. So we've got Lord of Innistrad. We have the emblem. That's good, even if it dies there and then. Solemn Visitors in as well, which is quite nice. You can put all your creatures, give them +1 on lifelink till the end of turn. Vengeful Bloodlords in, just to ping someone, return a creature if need be. That's not the end of the world. Imister Predator is a vampire dragon. Not something you often see, but we're doing it anyway. And you know, when it becomes tapped, you exile a card from a graveyard and put a +1/+1 on it. So basically, you can just make this a 4/4 if you need to on the turn it comes in play by sacking off one of your creatures, and it's indestructible. So it's not the end of the world. The original Olivia's in here. 3/3 for 2 black and red, flying. Ping something for 2 mana, 1 and 1 red. And that creature then becomes a vampire, and you put a +1/+1 counter on Olivia, and then you can pay 2 black and 3 and gain control of a vampire as long as you control Olivia. So it's all good. Solemn I've already spoken about. Fumigate is the second sort of like global destroy all creatures. I figure we might as well have that. It gives us a little bit of life as well, which isn't the end of the world. Bloodlord of Vagus is next. Bloodthirst is fine. It's quite nice. This creature, if an opponent was dealt damage this turn, this creature enters the battlefield with 3+1/+1 counters on it. But it gives that ability to all over the vampires. So as long as we can get some damage into our opponent, we're going to make our vampires a little bit bigger. Drana, the Last Blood Chief. Might as well play the other version of Drana since we're here. Comes into play whenever it attacks. Defending player chooses a non-legendary creature card in your graveyard. You return that to the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it. So even if some of your small vampires down here get killed off, when you get an attack in with this, you're going to get at least the worst one of them back, and then it gets more and more complicated as things go on for your opponent. Going up to the 6 mana, Blood Tribute. I decided to try it out. It's not the end of the world. Target opponent loses half their life rounded up, and if you kick it, you gain that much life. 6 mana, but it might put someone within Alpha Strike range, so I figured it was worth a try. I'm playing a Vampire deck. Had to play Sengir from the original Commander Legends set. And the second ability is really nice. Whenever another player loses a game, you gain life equal to that player's life total as the turn began. So even when your opponents kill someone else off, you're going to gain all that nice life. So yeah, sound like a plan to me. The Horns of Hightower is here as well. It was a promo card originally. Flying lifelink. When it attacks, defending player discards a card, and whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on it. So as soon as you attack with this, you're going to get 4/4. They can gain 4 life. Assuming they don't kill it there and then, but it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But notice it's just not on the attack. It's whenever a card is put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, put the +1/+1 and the counter on it. So if creatures die, if you've got first strike and you kill the creatures off before this deals its damage, hey, you're away. Or, even if you ping them with Olivia and kill some of the 1/1s off, you'll get the +1/+1. So it's pretty good. The last one of the Planeswalkers, Sorin Grim Nemesis. Yeah, well, it's there. We'll do it. We'll go with how it goes. Saragus, Thief of Heartbeats is in. I don't think we've got that many things in the party, but having the ability to kill Planeswalkers with your flying creatures is probably a good idea. The last 3 cards. Vish, Cal, Blood Arbiter, flying lifelink. You can sack a creature and put X +1/+1 counters where it's a sacrifice creature's power. So even if your 1/1 tokens are dying, you can give this a little bit bigger. And then you can remove 3 +1/+1, remove all the +1/+1 counters from it, and target creature gets -1/-1 each until the end of turn for each +1/+1 counter removed. It's pretty good. It gives you some removal. It gives you a way of dealing with big things you might not be able to do with. The biggest bit of board control in the world. We're playing the right colours, so let's play Ruinous Ultimatum. Destroy all non-land permanents your opponents control. It's going to be terrifying at some stage for some people, I'm sure. And finally, to back it all up at the end, Rise of the Dark Realms. Yeah, all those creatures you've killed, all the things you've dealt with, at some point when you get to 9 mana, you can get them all back into play under your side. Because don't forget, the bounty counters really help with that. So, that's it. That's my really quick deck tech on Mathas, the Feinsinker. I hope you enjoyed it. As usual, come down below. The deck list is there. The link to my Twitch streams there. If you haven't followed me before, follow me now. Really appreciate it. We're at 22 as I record this. Really like to try and get up to sort of like 40. So, if you're watching this, please just hit the follow button. I don't mind if you never watch another video again, but I'd really like some more followers on my YouTube channel. But come and join us on Twitch. You'll see the decks up and running. And I'll be back soon with another deck tech, probably something else to do with Double Masters 2022. Take care, have fun. Thanks for being here. Bye.